Hey, everybody, and welcome to my podcast. We're on episode 9 now, and today I just wanted to talk a little bit about guilt and shame and how that's just so prevalent in drinking and being addicted to alcohol. Many years I drank. I started when I was 15, and in a lot of ways that stunted my growth. I wasn't able to work through all the things that I needed to as a teenager and build up those boundaries with people and gain self-esteem for myself so that I could feel confident about moving forward with things in my life and processing things as they happened. So a lot of the times I just try to sweep my feelings under the rug, and that would just build up more resentment within me. Um, and so it wasn't until I was 42 and I was able to quit drinking that I was able to work on my self esteem and kind of gain wisdom and figure out how to build boundaries and to form healthier thinking patterns for myself. I was thinking today that there's really a thin line between sorrow and joy, and if we hold on to the feelings that we have with the people that we love and feel that they hurt us and we don't work through those feelings, it just breeds resentments and bad feelings for ourselves. And so the drinking just expounds that, and it makes it 10 times worse, 100 times worse. I was thinking recently that when I was a drinker, I typically would feel like I wanted to work on myself, and I did, and I got into therapy, and I was able to work on my relationships with my wife and my daughters and pretty much everybody in my life. But it really took working on myself to fix those things. I got to a point where I was tired of saying I'm sorry, and really there was a lot of times where I could feel that, and it was like my sorriness had to turn into action, and I actually had to do something about it. So instead of making those mistakes the first time and then having to apologize, I found that it was better just to not make those mistakes at all. But it took a lot of work to get to that point. I'd say it probably took a good 6 months of not drinking to get to a point where I felt like I was at a place where I was confident in myself and in my sobriety enough um, to go through life without um, needing that crutch of drinking. And so I was able to form new habits and new patterns, and it took time for me to build up to that. But it wasn't solved overnight. I was still working on boundary issues years later, even a couple years later, 2 or 3 years later. But when I quit drinking, it was during the first 6 weeks of the pandemic shutdown. So I really had not a lot of experience with socializing, and once things started opening back up, it was kind of a shock to my system because I got so used to just being at home and not having to worry so much about anything else. But when I started to come out of my shell last year, I had been building up to that for some time. I started to go to church more often. I found a church that I liked, and I was able to start growing in my faith, and that was a real huge thing, and it still is to this day, because I was able to get sober from begging God basically to take the pain away, and but once I was able to quit and not feel so guilty and so ashamed of my behavior, I was able to start to love myself again, and to the point where I kind of felt like I was a kid again. I was able to go out and find new hobbies that or old hobbies that I enjoyed when I was younger, and some new hobbies. But one of the main hobbies is hiking, and so when I took that up, I started to go to 2 to 3 mile hikes and things like that, into different parks and different places. But I would find solace in those parks. Like I came to you from my favorite park last time. I go to these parks and I am able to reflect and think about the things that I'm going through, and it really helps me to gain clarity on why I'm upset. A lot of times it's hard for us to identify exactly where it's coming from, especially if we have a million things going on. And if you're like me, you got a million things on your agenda every day, and if it can creep up on you, it can build up, and it can be overwhelming if you let it. And so I'm lucky enough to have a wife that, we get along great. We talk, we talk about things deeply, and we when we listen with intent, and we help each other out when we're struggling. And I find that just turning to those healthier things rather than drinking is the biggest benefit. And so wherever you are in your journey, um, the best thing you can do is not beat yourself up. The shame and the guilt is what keeps us wrapped up in that addiction cycle. And if you can get away from alcohol just for a week, I think you'll see a week, or and then 2 weeks, and make it 3 weeks, and see how you feel. And I think you'll feel it, and you'll feel a big difference. And so yeah, wherever you are in your journey, just take solace in the fact that you're here and sharing these times. And I appreciate all of you. Have a great day.